Hello, hello, hello. It's Anne Lewis, your independent Stamping Up demonstrator based on the Sunshine Coast here in Queensland, Australia. Tonight I'm going to be showcasing, I'll just throw you down to my desk, as you know, I throw people everywhere. I'm going to show you how to make this fun fold, fancy fold. It's a case from Susan Campfield. I do love her projects. Now, mine's turned out a lot different than hers, but she gave me the original idea. Now, this card is really quite unique. Now, I'll show you how it stands up. These little wings actually go backwards a little, so it doesn't stand up like that. But you can either push this through the front way. So this, you'll see what happens here. So I'll just show you. So it goes like that. Or you can do the reverse. You can push it through that way. And so it looks like that. So now I have done this completely, like I've just zipped along on this. And it isn't a difficult card. Might look a little difficult, and the first time you make it, it takes a bit of understanding. Now, I've got a few techniques here, so you've stayed to the end because I'm going to show you how I did this gorgeous piece here. And it's easy if once you know how, and this technique you can do on so many other projects. Once you get it, once you get an idea of it, you go, oh, that's what I will do, because it's really easy. Now, I have to say, I did this little panel. It's a little small for all the work that I'm putting on there, but I so badly wanted to show you how to do this. Now, if you are watching, let me know. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm just coming back to the comments so I can see. Now, I want to show you how easy this was. So I made this and like I had 15 minutes left. So I thought, let's test my measurements and see if I can make another one really quickly. And this time I used the gorgeous, I'll tell you what I used for the other one in a second, Waterside Retreat. You've seen me use this paper a few times. Now, how gorgeous is that? This truly took me less than 15 minutes. I didn't have anything cut out. I had no idea. And in fact, I meant to pick up Misty Moonlight out of my cupboard, and I picked up Not a Navy, but it still works. And look how nice that is. And it's a men's card. Now, to be honest, I did stamp Consider Yourself Hugged because that was the one on my desk and I didn't have time to go and find another one. But that's how the back looks. Now, if you want to write a message or something, you can just either add paper down, white cardstock down here or there. But how nice is that? And that's a men's card. Well, you could use it for anything, to be honest. I'm sure I won't be. Well, who knows? But I'll probably be sending this out as a thank you to somebody. But that's how easy this card actually is. Now, once you make one, it's really, really simple to make the others. Now, I'll put this aside, bring back the one that I'm doing, which is this one. Now, you can use any of your designer series paper because I wanted to show you these two because they're so different, but it still works. So grab a piece of designer series paper. Now you could put designer series paper down here. I just liked on the black and white, just a plain feature, but you can do whatever you like. I mean, you could fill this bit with some designer series paper, or you could stamp it, or you can add some circles. Oh, look what arrived today in my, or some scallop bloom dies. Scallops are back. Who would have guessed? Look at these. How gorgeous are they? Or so I could pluck this one. I haven't even opened this and put it on the front. Now that would work as long as it's going forward. If it's going back, it's going to be too big for those folds, but that's okay. Look at these. Can't wait to play with these, but no time today. But I thought I'd show you that because the new online July exclusives are out, and it's truly, there's so many of them, it's just about like a new catalogue. Now it's all online, so all you have to do is go to my online store. The link is in the comments. And wait a minute, I'm just putting this away. The link is in the comments. Wait a minute. Oh, somehow, and I missed. Anyway, now we should be right. Sorry, everybody. Let's see. I missed my. Let's see. And you're good. You found me on YouTube. So let's see how we go. Now it's on Facebook as well. Technology. See, it's enough to drive you insane, isn't it? However, let's get going. What was I saying? Oh, the online exclusives. There's so many new ones, including some Christmas ones, so that we can do some Christmas in July, and also some Halloween, and a whole lot of other really, really nice products. I swear it's just about like a new catalogue, except you've got to go online for it. Idea. So let's get started. I'll just give everybody a bit of chance to get on here. And I want to show you, just for those that are coming back from Facebook, because this wouldn't have gone to Facebook. I had 15 minutes just before I jumped online to do the live tonight, and I whipped this one up. So you can see you can use any of our designer series paper and make up your own card. Oh, you can use what's in your stash. I mean, that's the whole idea of what I actually do. Idea. So grab here's my paper. So I've picked some thick cardstock. So basic white thick cardstock. But you could use, as I have here, just some normal cardstock. I wouldn't recommend thin, it's not thin, normal cardstock, and certainly not two-tone cardstock, because it's a little bit thinner than our regular cardstock and our thick cardstock. So let's grab my trimmer. So make sure you've got your trimmer out, and we're going to be cutting a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Now remember, our cardstock is only 8.25, so I'm going to have to cut my 5.5 inches this way, so I use up a bit more paper than I normally do, but it's worth it because this card is so nice. Now let me know if you're watching, because I had a bit of an issue with Facebook. It didn't connect. And then I'm cutting, I'll have to open this up at 8.5 inches. So hopefully, oh, wait a minute, I just want to make sure we're on the desk. We are at 8.5 inches. So this is what the piece should look like. So 8.5 by 5.5. As you see, it always looks a little bit different when I've scored it and added designer series paper. Now, the next thing we're going to do, and let me know if you need me to go any slower or you've got any questions. Just remember, there's a delay between what you write and what I actually see. So we're going 2.25 inches here. Then I'm going to, now, because it's thick cardstock, well, there's two bits that I've done here. Made sure that my cutting blade is out of the way so we don't make a mistake. So I'm going to, hi Rhonda, had a bit of an issue on Facebook. I'm back on Facebook now, but YouTube works just as well. So thank you for looking. Okay, so 2¼ inches on the right hand side. Then I just flipped it around 180 degrees and did 2¼ on this side. That makes it easy. So now I'm hoping you will see this. You're going to just fold those over. Now, if you think it's a gatefold card, no, it's not. These actually overlap. So grab a bone folder and just reinforce those lines. All right, now if you've missed me, Rhonda, in other words, the measurements, not me personally, I just want to show you. This piece here is 8½ inches by 5½ inches. Remember, our cardstock in Australia is A4, so it's only 8¼ So I've had to turn around my paper and cut the 8½ inches downwards and 5½ inches crossways, which is a little different than what I normally do. Well, very different from what I'm normally doing. So I've got these little scraps, but I'll use them on something else. Never let paper go to waste. Rightio. So let me know how you're going. Now, what I'm next going to do is I'm going to cut. See these two score lines? I'm going to cut in between here. So I want to be clear in between that score line and that score line at 1 inch down, and the same at the bottom. So this is easy. What I do, I'll put this at the top so that you can see. I'm going to line it up with the 1 inch over on the right hand side. Get rid of the scoring blade because I actually want to cut, but I only want to cut between the two score lines. So I'll drop my blade, I'll bring my cutting blade into the middle because I don't want to cut this bit, these two side panels. I'm going to make sure I've got it on the inch, that it didn't move. It's nice and straight. Now, just before we start cutting, I'm going to be cutting basically on my guide between 2¼ and 6¼ right? I find it easier, and I'm hoping you're going to be able to see this. Stampin' Up kindly give us these little notches on all 4 sides so you know where your cutting blade is. So the ones on the side, I'm hoping you're going to see this, on there and there will actually line up with those score lines. So I'll show you. I'll just cut the first one. So I stop when I get to those notches there and there. So it lines up with the score line, and then just bring it back over here. All right. So you should have one cut like that. All right. Then we're going to turn it around 180 degrees and do exactly the same, but this time it'll be on the bottom. So again, I'll line up my cutting blade with the first score line and just cut through to the second score line. So they're the only 2 bits I've cut so far. So it's easy, 1 inch at top, each inch at the bottom. And that's where this trimmer is really, really good. Hi, Joanne. Welcome. So good to see you. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, so we had it like this. So we're just going to rotate it 90 degrees. And this time, so we've got the 8½ inches at the top, if you're using one of our trimmers, and you're going to score at 4¼ Now, just in case you're not used to this, I'm hoping you can see this. 4¼ is that mark just there. So it's just to the right of 11 centimeters. So you're going to score get rid of that cutting blade. And let's line it up with 4¼ inches. Get rid of the cutting blade. Just come down, and this time I just want to show you we're only scoring to what you just previously cut. So you're just going to score down there and up there. So let's go 4¼ inches. Once you make one of these, I think you could, because it only took me like 15 minutes to cut out everything. So I turn it around, do another, score it again at 4¼ Now, with thick cardstock, you sometimes have to, well, you do have to go forward and back, but any time you're using designer series paper, you want to be very gentle with it. Now, there's a little mark here, just there, where I just scored a little past it. So I'll just rub that out with my fingers. Yep, now you can't even see it. So this one, I know these go back. I think I've turned them around a little bit. So they go back. This goes back on my design, but so let's just, I can reinforce. Oh, I've cut my finger somehow. How have I done that? Anyway, I'll just obviously caught it on something. Rightio. So, but I'll hide that with a bit of cardstock. Now we then have to, so we've done this score line and this score line. So now we have to do these two. So on that inside, we're going to come in 3¼ inches. So grab my little trimmer. So I said 3¼ just in case you're not used to inches or you're not good at reading your trimmer. That's that one there. So it's the 3 inches bigger one to the left. So four little ones to the left. So let's go 3¼ We'll come back over here, line it up, make sure it's nice and square. Remember, I'm doing the center panel. I've done the others. So again, I'm going to start at the cutting line and going between the cutting lines this time. So 3¼ This is one of those that you go step by step without getting too carried away. I've turned it around 180 degrees and done exactly the same on the other side. Now, as I said, I've got a few techniques. This isn't the technique bit. This is just creating the card. So I'm going to pop this one forward. All right. That one back. All right, so now you can see I've already got that shape. Now, if it looks like it wants to, if it looks like it wants to fall over, just turn these back a little bit more. Just wait a sec. I've somehow cut myself with the trimmer. Who would have thought? It's just about next to impossible to do that. Anyway, just give me a sec. Who would have thought crafting could cause that? Rightio. So now you should all be up to here. And if you're not following along, you can do this in your own time. Now, we're going to bring some of this nice paper in. As you can see, it's my panels. So these side panels are, let's just check my measurements, 2 inches by 5 1/4. So 2 inches wide by 5 1/4 long. So I'm just going to cut my 2-inch strip and then cut it off at 5 1/4. Now, there's a couple of ways you could do that. I'll have a little piece left over, but I've got to be honest, I have so much paper, a little tiny waste of paper that big is not going to worry me, actually. And it may actually. It does. I could use it on one of those. So I'm going to stick these down so you get some sort of concept of how this comes together. So I'm going to just be using some of my multi-purpose glue. Now this paper is the Artisan Sketched Designer Series paper. It is so gorgeous. And I've used it a fair bit, and you've seen it a fair bit, because I find it really versatile. Now, while we're doing this, here we go. While we're doing this, don't forget that on Friday, I'm doing a joint project with Christine. I'm very excited about what I'm doing. Anyway, so I then have to do these these 4 strips here, and each of those strips are 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4 inches. So just to keep it simple, I'm just going to cut. Now, if you've got a one-way pattern, just make sure your pattern stays the same on this. So I'm just cutting a little piece off there. Not sure, I might need to cut a couple more. So that was just 3/4 of an inch. I hope it was 3/4 of an inch. Yes, it was. And then I'm cutting 1 3/4 off it. So I know you can't see me. Let's bring this down a little bit. 1 3/4. Thanks, Joanne. I'm glad you like it. It's an easy card, especially once you've done one. The first one you might have a little bit of trouble getting around how it all comes together. Once you do one, it is so simple. Now, that's why I added a couple of techniques to it, so that center panel would look pretty special. So now I should have kept these in so that they match, but I didn't. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So this is using a 1/4 of an inch border. Oops, I think that goes like that. As I said, it's easy even cutting out. There we go. So I've got most of the paper done. Now I'm going to do the piece here. Now mine has got plain panels down here, so you would just cut them in your designer series paper or whatever you want to do it. You could cut this panel, emboss it. So many things, so many ideas that you could use. So now, where's some black? So it's a perfect job to use some strips. So I know that that's going to be a good strip to get rid of. So I'll get this out of the way. So let's cut my strips. Hi, Carol. How are you? Welcome. So my strips for the center panel, the basic black, is 3 1/4 inches. So let's cut my 3 1/4 inches. 3 1/4 inches by 1 3/4. That's a skinny strip. It's a skinny strip to stamp and add a sentiment, but I got around it. So it's that piece there. Hopefully I've got that right. Yes, I do. And then the two side pieces, so let's bring this piece back. So these two strips down here, which I've done in black, but you could do in anything, are 3 1/4 by 3/4. So 3 1/4. Let's cut that 3 1/4. Rid of that. And then just cut 3/4. So there's some consistency in the measurements. So they're pretty easy to work out. So put that away for a second. Let's apply these black side strips. I like this idea because this is called a box stage. So think of going to the theatre and you have those, where the flash people sit, the boxes. So when it sits out, you can kind of picture it's at a theatre. Hence why it's called the box stage. Was it box stage? What did I call it? Can't even remember now. Now there's lots of different names for this fold. Lots and lots of different fold names. I mean, and I suppose it depends on whether this center panel goes forward or back. Now, where did that black piece? Oh, here it is, hiding. So that goes there, and we're going to grab some basic white. Now I'm just using normal basic white, not thick basic white. And the basic white to go on here, if you're doing it a similar pattern to mine, is 3 1/8. As you see, I've just grabbed a piece of, I have to go this way, 3 1/8. Let's pull this down a little bit. 3 1/8. Oh, does none of these do 3 1/8? That's not going to work very well. I have to get a bigger piece. Here we go. 3 1/8. There we go. By 1 5/8. Wait a minute. Which is the 3 1/8? I don't know. That's the 3 1/8. So 1 5/8. It's this way. I've shifted that. Righto. So this is just going to sit on here. You see, I left a smaller border around this one. Now, I want to show you, where's my stamp set for this? Because I use the Garden Gathering. Is that this one? Yep. Garden Gatherings stamp set. Because I absolutely loved how this comes together. Now, I don't have a lot of room, and some of these images are a little bigger than my panel. However, I'll show you how to make that work. So, what I'm going to do is use a paper piecing, 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 Piercing. No, that's piercing. Piecing. So with a piece of cardstock. So it can get a little confusing. So this is my two papers that I use to make these vases. So I'll show you how I did that. This is so cute. I grab my Memento ink, any black ink that you've got. I'm just going to stamp here. And then I'm using this yellow honeycomb pattern. Now this comes from, it's here somewhere on my desk. I'll find it in a second. It's one of my favorites, and it's perfect for doing these little designs. that's the back of that one. That's the back of that one. Now I'm just going to fussy cut this out. Now, when I'm fussy cutting this for paper piecing, I'm just going on the outside. Here's my cut. I did cut it with the trimmer. I don't think I've ever done that before. So I'm cutting on the outside of my stamped image. You see, it's easy cutting. I'm just moving the paper around. Right, so we got one there. That paper out of the way. It's called the Everyday Essentials DSP. And that's again, I'm cutting this out. Actually, what I normally do is cut a little piece out, makes it so much easier to fussy cut. And whilst we call this fussy cutting, it's pretty easy cutting. Oh. Hello, sorry. Now, this is one of my favourite techniques. Got a couple of favourites, but this is one because it always turns out pretty special. And it's easy. You don't need any dies. And these vases are very simple to cut out. I know. So there we go. There's my two vases. And then I'm going to grab, this is my strip of paper. I'm not going to stick it onto the black yet, just in case something goes wrong. Now, if you have a look at this, I've got a little sentiment down the bottom there. Consider yourself hugged. There's the one on my desk. So I'm going to stamp that again so I know how to line up the vases just above it. Let's go there. I like Consider Your Hugged. You can make it a thank you card. You can make it a birthday card. Rightio. So we're going to grab those same stamps, the two vases, and we're going to stamp just again in black ink on here. Now, I should have learnt my lesson because there wasn't a lot of room when I first did this. And I overstamped this. It doesn't matter. Oop. Doesn't matter if I move it. Rightio. So there we go. You see that? I'm hoping you can. Now, what happens is this goes in there and this goes in here. Now, what it actually does, hides a mess. Now, I don't mean a mess so that I can actually get this to look really nice. So I will show you. So we're now going to put these flowers or the stems of the flowers into those pots. But because mine is so small, it's going to be kind of a bit big. So I'm going to have to, because I don't want it spilling on the other side of the vase. That doesn't look right. I'm just going to protect my vase just with a piece of Post-it note. So I'm hoping you can see that. So I've just stuck a Post-it note over. And then I can just stamp this. Now, this piece is not ideal because it's a bit small. I designed this card in my head. Now, I can see through the Post-it note where the vase actually is. Don't worry about the stamp already on there. That's from the previous time. So I want this to go want to get as many flowers in as I can. So I have to bring it down a little bit. And the Post-it note just protects it. I think I might have that a bit high. So you can see I've protected everything there. Same over here. I'm using a different stamp. I'm using this one, here. And all those dots line up with there. It's very easy to line up. Now let's get that black going again. This one's a little easier because it actually fits on the cardstock. But again, I just want to make sure it doesn't come through down the bottom. So I'm protecting it with that piece of Post-it note. Now I just got to line up the bars, which I can, oh, missed a bit, which I can see through the Post-it note. Makes it easy. I know you can't see it, so now you can see I've lined them up really well. It was a simple task. Rightio, so let's make these gorgeous flowers. Now, where are my flowers? My flowers are here and here. So let's do these flowers here, which I've chosen Flirty Flamingo because that's that colour there. I'll ink it up. Well, before I ink it up, I'll just take all the ink off. There's no ink on it. Is all you have to do, and you can have a little play with this, is line up each of those flowers with those dots. So once you line it up and you're happy with it, you can just stamp it down. It's an easy stamp to line up. And to be honest, even if you miss a little bit, it's a little hard for me because I have got a camera in front of between me and these and my stamped image. I want to show you how gorgeous that is. Can you see that? It is such a nice stamp and such a versatile stamp. It's one of those, how I say, it's got a little bit of magic to it because Stampin' Up have made it so easy. Now, not all of this flower will actually fit on. I'm just taking some of the yellow off. Now, this one, the way that they do it is, I know you probably can't see it, but in each of the big flowers, there's two little, like a hole and a hole, and you're lining it up with these. So, yeah, I've just got to remember. So I'm lining up the hole with this flower. This one sits on top of the stem and this one sits on top of the stem. So I always remind everybody to line it up in 4 places. Now I don't need to mask this one. It's a little different than the other one because this is going to hide that, right? So I did mask when I did it before. So I'm going to add this on. Now I could pop these up, but that one goes on first because I want it to sit behind. Doesn't matter, you get to choose which one works for you. You can do this with so many things. You can make, if you've got a stamped image of a girl, you can make her dress. You can paper piece her dress. Got a flower, you can do the same. So how nice is that now? It's a little different than the other one, probably because I sift through it a little. Now let's just stick this together. Now I'm not popping anything up, but I could pop it up. As I said, you could add like a sentiment strip. You can do whatever you like. All right. Now, most of that time was spent actually doing that little front panel. That was because I chose to do it. So these go back. This comes forward. Stick that on. And then it's going to look like that when it sits up. So how easy, you can see it's both the same thing, but I've got to add my little favourite. These are my favourite butterflies. They were out of stock, but they've come back in stock. So if you like these, listen, get them. Now, how gorgeous. So they're in colour butterflies. Where is a piece of cardstock? It might be able to show up that. Now you can see what they're like. So there's different sizes. So let's pop some on. I'm just going to use some little ones because I haven't got many big ones left now. So I'm using some, well, they're barely brush, but they could be any colour. I might add a white one. Only using little ones tonight. I'm going to add a little white one there. Righty go. Now, just remember, you can make this however you like. So if you want to write something on, you could just write directly on here. How nice is that one? And I'll bring back this one here. And you can see, so this is the one I zipped up in 15 minutes just before I went live. So I would need to add a white panel to this one. Right. And then this one, you can just do so much with your stash with it. So let me know if any of you have made this as you go along. And are you going to have a go? Let me know. Don't forget on Friday at 10 a.m. That's Brisbane time. At 10 a.m. I'm going live with Christine. I've already done my project and I think I posted the measurements online. I'll have to check. If not, they'll go up tomorrow. Look forward to catching up with you again on Friday. I'll just put you back so that you can see me. Hi. And what other news do I have? Online exclusives. So many new releases in the online at the moment, and my link to the online store is in the description. The other thing is that the product of the month, which is released today, is gorgeous. Now, I've already posted it on my Facebook, in my Facebook business page. Have a look at it. It's called Begonia Bell, and it's like our old distinctive stamp sets, full of texture and so, so gorgeous. No dyes with it, but it will create a fabulous, fabulous card. And it's so feminine. I love it, love it, love it. And a bit of a change up out of the Wild Bunch, which was those Highland cows and the koalas and the snail and the penguin from June, which sold out so quickly. It was so popular. So if you're interested in getting the product of the month, $9 with a $125 order, get in early before it sells out, because this is going to be another one that I think will sell out really quickly. A bit slow, but at least I'm on my way. Well, you can watch it on replay. And if you have any issues, don't ever hesitate to send me a message and I'll help you out. Rightio, bye for now. See you on Friday, and then I'll see you next week as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you like the card.